When you get a bear who pecks you, you get KBear Pecker. Yeah, I need to work on my puns. Hello and welcome back to another experience where I'll be talking about KBear's new budget entry, the KBear Pecker. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Keep Hi-Fi for providing this in exchange for my honest experience. However, they will have no influence on my feedback and all thoughts and opinions are my own. If you'd like to check them out, I'll leave a link in the description down below, and if you've been enjoying my content, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button. They'll help the channel a lot and I appreciate each and every one of your support. With that all said, let's talk accessories. If you've purchased a KZ IEM before, the experience is largely similar, with the box containing the IEM, some interchangeable ear tips, and the cable. The cable itself feels really sturdy or stiff depending on who you are, but the plastic bits on the cable feels a little on the cheaper side. The IEMs themselves, especially the silver variant, looks okay. Nothing that stands out, very simple, industrial-like look with the holes, and it definitely looks better than the rendering, but nothing to go crazy about. As for fit and comfort, the nozzles on these IEMs are quite huge, and while I don't personally feel it, it might be something to note for some people, especially when you're tip rolling. Otherwise, the overall fit and comfort is pretty standard, comfortable enough for hour-long listening sessions. For the sound, oh boy, okay, here we go. For the bass, this is where I say is the highlight of the KBear Pecker. Bass is deep, weighty, and impactful. However, it overwhelms everything else for me on the frequency. If you're simply wanting to get a budget IEM with a lot of bass and don't really care about the rest, the KBear Pecker, here you go. However, I do hope you take note of the other things I'm about to say before you jump on this purchase. For mid-range, as I mentioned earlier, you get a lot of bass, but unfortunately it bleeds into the mid-range. And the position of the vocals are kept at center, which makes the bleed even more noticeable, at least for me. There's a certain thickness to the sounds, which can be good at times, and I'm all for weighty vocals, but I feel it's a little bit too thick on the Pecker. Vocals sound a little bit too muffled as well, probably due to its position in relation to the bass accompaniment. For treble, the graph would suggest a very sharp and peaky treble, which I personally don't find it overly sharp from my experience, but it also depends on your volume. It can be edging on that sharpness, and being a typical V-shaped tuned IEM is so that the treble cuts through all that bass, which it does to a certain extent, but the treble extension roll-off simply hurts air instruments. Imagine trumpet using a mute, which is like a muffler-like attachment to the trumpets, and you can Google how it would sound like. It's not as bad, but it's certainly not open, clear, or airy. For soundstage and resolution, soundstage is about average. The vocal positioning is giving it a wider soundstage illusion, but the amount of bass closes that in, hence being on average, so not too close or wide. As for resolution, there's macro details due to how the treble is presented, but the micro details are simply overshadowed by the bass. Details are just not as clear or distinct on the KBear Pecker. For power and source on my HiFiMan EF400, I'm getting to about 11 o'clock on the dial, which is surprisingly high to power this IEM. So to sum it all up, I've heard great things about KBear on their other products, so it was a little disappointing for this particular experience, especially when a new company is providing support to the channel. But at the end of the day, I have to be honest with my experiences, and the tuning on the KBear Pecker simply doesn't suit me at all. At this price option, there are plenty of IEMs available. For example, the KZ ZVX, for me personally, would walk circles around the KBear Pecker. I'm sure there are other options you can pick from KBear. I personally wouldn't reach for this one. However, this is based on one man's experience, and I'm curious to know yours if you decide to get this. Do you enjoy this kind of tuning preference, or what is your favorite KBear IEM to date? Comment below, let me know, and once again, thank you very much to Keep Hi-Fi for the support, and until the next experience, happy listening.